And probably you don't always agree with the judges' scores. Neither do the skaters or their coaches sometimes. Remember Debbie Thomas and her coach Alex McGowan after her marks in the short program the other night.
There were the marks. Technical merit, quite good. But on the marks for presentation, Debbie was unhappy, but Coach Alex McGowan was absolutely disgusted, as you could see. But how do the judges turn those marks into placements? Dick Button explains.
This is what a judge's scoring sheet looks like. After the first skater, the judge fills in the marks. First, he gives a basic mark for the overall technical quality of the moves, and then he deducts for errors, and thereby arrives at the technical merit mark. Then he gives the artistic impression and totals the two marks. 6-0 is a perfect mark. The skater with the highest total gets a first place, known as an ordinal, and so on down the line. Now, skater number 2 and number 3 have the same total. When there is a tie in the totals, the higher technical merit mark breaks the tie. It is possible for a judge to give the same marks for technical merit and artistic impression. That judge then ties the skaters. Remember, it's how a judge ranks the skaters from the totals that counts, not one judge's mark compared to the other judges as we've seen them. It's okay to be high or low as long as you're consistent. Trouble occurs with inconsistency.
And the scores, of course, are the products of the judges. And we wondered who these people are, how they get there, and that sort of thing. Why don't we consider that subject as we move along toward that confrontation tonight.
Here are the second set of marks. These that you can see are 5-9s, 5-8s, but except for judge number 7, which is a 5-5. That judge is just being questioned by the man in the center, who is the president of the United States Figure Skating Association.
Now, we've seen these conferences many times through the years. But who are these people? Where do they come from? Do they know what they're doing? Why do they have conferences? How do they learn their job? Well, many of them are former skaters, others just people who love the sport and want to be involved. They have the same ambition as a man who wants to be a baseball umpire or a football referee. They begin as trial judges, like the young people you see here. They judge competitions, but their marks don't count. Their marks are, however, compared with those of the official trial judges. Just as skaters climb up from the competitive ladder, so do the judges, from the local, novice to the national senior level. Review committees evaluate their records and promote those considered qualified to the next level. It can take thousands of hours volunteered over 8 to 12 years to become a world or Olympic judge. They also have to pass an exam and attend a judges' school run by the International Skating Union, which is the governing body of the sport.
This system of having these schools and to have these examinations is just trying to overcome the ignorance or the incompetence of the judges.
Which can be a problem, particularly with judges from countries that just don't know very much about skating.
We're now trying to make sure that people from all countries are looking at things from the same perspective.
Even after reaching the world level, judges are required to participate in these schools to keep up with the latest developments in the sport. Usually we only see 4 or 5 skaters on TV, but there may be as many as 25 of them competing.
You become almost starry-eyed. You watch so many programs.
Now, each judge has to keep track of every spin, every jump, and how well it's performed by every skater. So they have a sheet with columns for each element. However, you can't look away for too long while you're taking those notes. It's a problem. When a competition is over, the judges will not be able to just turn in their marks and go home. They'll all meet with the referee and discuss the scoring. If they're questioned, well, those notes will be very important.
If you have had a deviation, you must be prepared to defend your position.
Yes, the judges know. Of course they know that we check their activity very seriously, and if there are very important deviations or evident national bias, there will be sanctions.
The penalties vary in a range depending on the violation. Alexander Fadeev, the world champion at the time, touched down on 3 jumps and then fell outright on 2 others in the 1986 World Championships. The Soviet judge still gave him a 5-9 on the left there for technical merit. It was so obviously above the range and displayed such national bias that the Soviets themselves suspended their own judge even before the skating union could.
The greatest penalty that a judge can receive is for national bias. So we're attempting to not show national bias for our skaters.
Is that hard to do?
I find it extremely hard to do.
While the questioning, which usually goes on behind closed doors, provides a system of checks and balances, it can also be very intimidating to the judges.
Oh, I certainly think there is some fear involved as to what will be said afterwards. And I do think that in some cases, judges may bend to judging in order to stay in line. And this, of course, I disapprove of. I will have no part of that.
Apparently, some judges have gone a lot farther than just allowing national bias to show through. According to Barbara Jean Lane, there are occasions when a judge will offer to make a deal with a judge from another country.
I can only speak for myself. There are two occasions, one at a world championship and one at an international championship where I was certainly approached. It was no problem as far as I was concerned to deal with. I simply indicated to the people that were concerned that I was not interested. They wished me to boost one of their skaters, and in turn they would do the same. This is basically what goes on, is a case of promoting a skater from another country. I think that perhaps these deals tend to involve skaters who are coming up the ladder. I think the best skater, for the most part, wins the championship.
Well, Sonia Bianchetti of the International Skating Union declined to talk to us on that subject. Well, there are the judges for tonight. Dick and Peggy are in the arena. And I would say this, Dick, one thing I know, I wouldn't want to be one of them tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim, those judges simply have to come up with a decision. But there's a difference between who is going to win and who is going to be a great skater. I've always felt that a great skater is someone who not only reaches the top, but leaves the sport different and better because he or she was in it. We've seen many instances of that in the past. And tonight, when all the sequins have settled, the triple jumps have been landed, and the applause has died down, will we have seen skating that clearly advances the art of figure skating? Someone who did advance the art in her time was my friend Peggy Fleming. My special